So what we're doing today is that it's late on in the day and it's nearly Christmas time. So I thought that, I know we started this whole kind of where did we come from, how did it start, stuff some time ago, and we kind of binned it off. Thought it was about time we resurrected it and took you back to some of the places where we've been, basically. So what we're going to do is take you on a little journey, a little tour of where it all began. And we're going to start off in 𝘬𝑟𝑎. We were in two places, well, three places if you count the two units together in 𝘬𝑟𝑎. So that's where we're headed off first. Now we are losing a bit of daylight here, but we've got like a really expensive camera, so that shouldn't really matter. So I'm going to click my fingers, and in a couple of seconds you're going to rejoin me right where it began. Do you reckon? Do you reckon it'll still be frozen? Mr. T's down there with his desserts. If you haven't heard of them, they're world famous. But yeah, this is where it all began. Way back when, over 10 years ago now, we actually started off in Unit A here. Come over here, Lee. So this is Unit A in the 𝘬𝑟𝑎 building supplies yard, as it was way back when. We started off with just one unit and we sold cars from here, mainly Fiestas. We started off repairing accident damaged Fiestas. From there we progressed to the Focus STs. If you haven't already seen the video, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I'll put a link in the description and in the card above to the video of where Ben and I sat on the sofa talking about it. But yeah, basically we started off in Unit A here. We swiftly moved on to having both Unit A and Unit B. So in this side we had a single ramp, and we also had a Carolina jig. In the other side, we had a spray booth and just an open prep area in front of it. Now, we did continue with the bodywork when we moved to the next location. We had this area here. There was a bit behind you, Lee, if you have a look behind you. There's a parking area that we used for storage. And then up the side here, obviously there was enough room to get some vehicles down the side. Now the gate and stuff wasn't there and there was nothing else. We used to have cars up the side. Now, from here on in, we took a huge gamble and we moved to probably the second largest unit that we've been in. So, again, with the magic of video, we're going to click our fingers and we're going to quickly transport there. We haven't got far to go. So, location number 2. We were here probably about 7 or 8 years ago, I think. This was probably one of the bigger units that we took on. It was where we spent quite a lot of time. We were here about 2 or 3 years. It was part of the same company that owned the other building. So we took a massive gamble, and with the help of the guy who owned this place, we decided to move into here. It's about 5,000 square foot, roughly. We would show you inside, but it's just not the same as it was before. We had, I think, about 3 or 4 ramps in here. We had an engine building room built at the bottom. This building was actually brand new. There wasn't even a roller shutter door on the front. So a lot's changed inside. We have actually dipped our head inside, but it's probably not really a suitable area to film at the minute. So inside here we had another spray booth. It was a bigger spray booth than we had before. We had the jig in there as well, and we had 3 or 4 ramps down one side. Many of you will probably remember it. If you've been to us for a good many years, then you'll probably remember being at this unit. We spent some happy times here, and from here we moved down to the industrial estate, and that's where we're going to go now. So, location number 3 and number 5 now. I know that's going to be confusing, but all will be revealed. So from 𝘬𝑟𝑎 or 𝘬𝑙𝑡, whichever way you want to describe it, we moved into here, and it was both units. So Unit 19 behind me and Unit 20, we moved in with another company. Now, I'm not going to go into much about that, but it just didn't work out for us. So we swiftly moved on within about 6 to 9 months, and we moved over into a separate unit. Now, we'll go over there in just a moment, but to discuss move number 5, it was into Unit 19. Now, we had some great friends help us out with this. We painted the doors, which you can see in the background, are the same colour as when we were here. We put some great signage up here. It was a great, fantastic place, wide open space, loads of room for car meets and stuff. It was ideal for us. We've fitted out the inside, absolutely brand new inside, brand spanking, and installed a new dyno here. Unfortunately, and this is awkward for me to talk about, but in 2015 we were actually subject to an arson attack. Now, it was the most horrific time of the year. We lost all our children's gifts in there, and there was very many employees that lost loads of stuff in that. So yeah, horrific time. We had no help from anyone bar family and friends during that period, and I can only say thanks to the people who supported us, the likes of my dad Smiler, Stephen Hughes the joiner, loads of people that came together to support us. It left us in a really, really dark place in 2015, moving into 2016. It was horrific. I don't want to go into too much detail, and to be honest, I don't really relish being back here because it holds so many unhappy memories. The fact that it didn't work with the other company, and the fact that we had a fire here, but we came back bigger and stronger. And now I'm going to go back in time, and I'm going to click my fingers, and we're going to go backwards one to number 4. So 3, 2, 1. So this is unit number 4, I think. So this was a big move for us. It was a brave move, I suppose, in many ways, because we come from being on our own to going in with someone else, and it put us in an awkward position where we were neither here nor there. So we reached out to the landlord that covers the industrial estate, and we managed to locate this unit. Now, although it was a small unit, it was a backward step. It's only about 3,500 square foot. It's occupied by a food place now. It was a standalone, and again, it had a big car park. There was no fence around it when we had it, but there was plenty of room. We actually dug out behind on this side. We dug out that area and stoned it up just to give us more room. It's a unit or an era that holds really good memories for us. We were here for about 3 years. It was where, for those of you who's been to us before, will have known Bruno was running around the industrial estate, the sort of team mascot dog that we used to have. Unfortunately, he's been rehomed since, for various reasons. He was my dog, and with 2 kids it just wasn't possible to keep him. But this is the point where we got rid of all the bodywork stuff, all the accident repair stuff. So we just concentrated and focused, no pun intended, on the Focus ST market. We did a lot of engine work here with a separate engine build room in the back. We had 3 ramps in here, and we had the office and reception area. The reception area was something that we didn't have before, so it was pretty new and unique, and it was good, enjoyable. We enjoyed our time here. We had some great, amazing neighbours. We had Gwyn, the engineering place down the road. Enjoyable time being here. I've got some fond memories. As I say, it was about 3 years that we were here. But what we're going to do now is we're going to move on to location number 6, because we're going to have to jump backwards again now. This was post fire, so yeah, we'll show you that in a second. So this is it, the penultimate unit. It's where we moved when we'd had the fire. It's somewhere where we only intended to spend probably 6 to 12 months. Now, it didn't turn out that way, because it never works that way with the best intentions. This area used to be fenced off. The unit itself's only about 1,200 square foot. We got 2 ramps in facing that way along there, and 1 ramp facing outwards to the roller shutter door. I don't know how we managed to do it. We could hardly do anything here. We could hardly even build the engines because we just didn't have the space. Now, this area, as I said, was fenced off. We could get plenty of cars in the compound here. It was great because the whole sort of complex is fenced off. Great for security, great for our peace of mind after something so horrific had happened. The little office there is where Callum and I spent most of our time, mainly trying to get warm, if I'm perfectly honest. We didn't have very many customers visit us here because it was so small. That office there, when I say it's the size of a container, I mean it's the size of a container, and it does leak a bit of water, or it did do anyway. From here, we really did struggle to get another unit. We looked at buying places, we looked at this, that and the other, we looked at places in Chester, we looked at places all over all over really. In fact, we actually were looking to buy one of the units off the landlord, but that fell through as well. Ultimately, we ended up where we are now, and that's where we're going to teleport right now by the power of television again. Was that good enough? I think that was the magic of television myself. Anyway, here we are back where we started off pretty much when we set out to film this video. This is where we ended up. It's actually about 12,000 square feet. It's not purpose built or anything. It's interesting history to this building. I'm not going to bore you with it, but it's been a bus depot, it's been a tram depot, it's been a body shop, it's been all sorts of stuff. Now, when we first moved into here, Ben and I looked at it, and when the guy approached us, Andy from Dickens, and said, listen, I've got this unit, it's empty, come and have a look. It was derelict inside, there was spray painted graffiti, there was people living inside here, or there had been, the roof had fallen in, it had been replaced, and it was completely empty, bare shell. Now, that was scary to us because although we'd built from the ground up before, we'd never built it on this scale. We put new roller shutter doors in, repaired the floor over there, put in a new barrier, I suppose it's called, up there, sorted out some new ramps, built the offices from scratch, put all brand new electrics in, everything inside. This was an empty shell basically. Now, we were going to take if any of you have been here before, you'll have seen that there was Crosby bus depot that had some offices to the other side of the building, to the right hand side as you get there. It's now derelict, going to be turned into flats at some point in the future, but we were going to take that. We couldn't see our way through doing it. It needed so much work. Kind of in hindsight, I wish we had, because it would have allowed us a lot more room in here to do what we need to do with it, but it allowed us more scope than we've ever had before. We put an engineering section in here. We had a welder in here full time at one point. We haven't anymore. We've just moved away from the fabrication side. We do a bit ourselves. We put the tyre machines in. We've got the chemical cleaners and everything. We've got a custom engine room. As you will have seen in some of the videos, we've got obviously the surface grinder. We've got the milling machine, the whole 9 yards really. Most of the stuff that we can do in-house these days, other than some of the kind of liner work and stuff like that we get subcontracted out. But I'm not going to bore you with any more. It's been a pretty weird and eventful journey over the last sort of 12 years. It's culminated in something great, and I can only thank the people behind it, the people who've been there all the way. And there are some people who've been with us from the start. Matt Nolan, for instance, he will recognise every single building in this whole history thing. Obviously, we were introduced to Callum. There's a couple of other people that might actually have been to all the locations. That might include Nathan Hamnett, but I'm not quite sure. Let me know in the comments down below if you've been to one of the units, if you're a past and present customer, or that you're someone that's coming back. Hope you've enjoyed the video, and you consider subscribing if you're new. I know this is a bit of a deviation from the norm, but I thought it was time to fill in some of the gaps, and I thought this was the most appropriate way to do it. But like I said, comment down below if you'd like to see any more. Let us know if there's anything that we haven't covered in the past, or any how-tos, anything you like really. Give this video a thumbs up just because you can, and to help us out. I know YouTube's been a bit kind of hit and miss lately, but we'll get back to it in 2021. Thanks to Lee for filming this. Thanks to Cal for editing it for Lee, because he's not very good. Anyway, join me next time for the next episode when we'll get back to a bit more car related stuff. Cheers, guys.